Long ago, when gods and demons walked the earth, there lived a mighty king whose name shook the heavens. His power was unmatched. His name, Hiranyakashipu. His empire stretched across lands, his voice thundered in the skies. The world bowed before him, but his hunger for power was endless. One day he made a decree. I have conquered the lands, I have defeated the gods. From this day forth, I alone shall be worshipped. I am your king, your ruler, your god. The royal court erupted in fearful applause. Ministers bowed low. Soldiers stood still, afraid to breathe. But amidst the echoes of fear, one voice remained calm. One heart stood unshaken. His own son, Prahlad, a young boy no older than 10, sat with his hands folded in devotion. A golden glow surrounded him as he whispered a single name, Vishnu. His voice was soft yet unwavering. Father, your kingdom is vast. Your power is great. But true strength does not come from fear. It comes from faith. And Lord Vishnu is the protector of all. The court gasped. Silence. All eyes turned to the king. His pride turned to rage. His fists clenched. His eyes burned like fire. The mighty king, who had crushed warriors, silenced gods, and ruled the three worlds, now faced defiance from a child. Hiranyakashipu rose from his throne, his voice shaking with fury. You dare defy me? You dare call upon my greatest enemy? I am your father. I am your god. His voice echoed through the palace. The walls trembled. If you will not bow to me, then you shall not live in my kingdom. Guards rushed forward, their footsteps pounding against the stone floor. They seized the boy. But Prahlad did not fight. His eyes remained closed. His lips still whispered Vishnu's name. And so began the trials of Prahlad. A test not of strength, but of devotion. A war not of weapons, but of faith. The king ordered the boy to be thrown from the highest cliffs. He fell. The wind howled around him. The earth waited below, silent, unmerciful. And then, a miracle. Just before impact, a golden light surrounded him. He landed gently, unharmed. The earth itself refused to harm him. The king's fury grew. This is no miracle. He must be tested again. Mighty war elephants were unleashed to trample him. The ground shook as they charged, their roars deafening. The people watched in horror. But just before the elephants reached him, they stopped. They bowed. Even the wild beasts knew the purity of his soul. The king's face twisted in disbelief. Poison! Bring him poison! Let's see your god save you now! A goblet, dark and filled with venom, was placed before Prahlad. He drank and smiled. The poison faded into nothing. Even death itself could not touch him. The king watched from his throne, his power slipping like sand through his fingers. His rage turned to confusion, then to something deeper. How? How is this possible? Why does he not fear me? Prahlad turned, his voice soft yet unshaken. Because truth cannot be destroyed. A king's rule may end, but faith lasts forever. A golden wind swirled through the palace. The king's pride cracked, and for the first time in his life, he felt doubt. For deep inside, he knew. No matter how powerful he became, no matter how many armies he commanded, he could never destroy the truth. Moral of the story: power may command the body, but faith commands the soul. No force in the universe can destroy the truth. Dark clouds loomed over the kingdom. The air was heavy with whispers of fear. In the heart of the palace, a shadow moved. A figure, tall and fierce, her eyes gleaming with wicked intent. Holika. She stepped forward, her voice laced with confidence. Brother, let me handle him. My boon makes me immune to fire. Flames cannot touch me. She smiled, a cruel, knowing smile. I will take Prahlad into the fire, and this time there will be no miracles. He will be destroyed forever. Hiranyakashipu leaned back, his face dark with satisfaction. Then go, he said. Burn the faith out of him. That night, the kingdom square was filled with anxious murmurs. A massive bonfire crackled in the center, its flames reaching toward the sky, hungry, eager to consume all in their path. The people gathered, their eyes wide with fear. Would this truly be the end of the boy who had defied a king? Holika led Prahalad toward the fire. He did not resist. His steps were steady, his face calm, his eyes filled with unwavering devotion. She sat on the pyre, wrapping her arms around the boy, her voice a whisper only he could hear. "This is your end, foolish child." The flames roared higher, surrounding them in a ring of fire. Sparks danced like demons in the night. Smoke curled into the sky. The people gasped. The king smirked. But then something changed. The fire did not bend to Holika's will. It grew stronger. It raged. It burned hotter than ever before. Holika's smile faltered. Her skin, untouched by fire before, began to burn. Her voice, once filled with arrogance, now trembled with fear. "No, this cannot be," she screamed as the flames engulfed her, consuming the very magic she had trusted. The boon had failed her, because she had used it for evil. And in the center of the fire, surrounded by the inferno, Prahlad sat untouched. His eyes closed, his lips still whispering the name of Vishnu. The people watched in stunned silence. The impossible had happened. The fire burned away evil, but faith remained untouched. The flames died down. The smoke cleared. And there stood Prahlad, unscathed, glowing, protected by the divine. The villagers fell to their knees, eyes wide in awe. Hiranyakashipu, watching from his throne, felt something stir in his chest. Was it fear? Was it doubt? His greatest weapon, fire, had betrayed him. His greatest ally, Holika, had been destroyed. And yet his greatest enemy, faith, stood before him, stronger than ever. But his fury was not yet spent. "Enough," the king roared. "This is not over." He turned away, his mind already racing toward his final act of vengeance. Moral of the story: power misused will always lead to downfall. Evil destroys itself, while faith remains unshaken. No force, no trick, no magic can overpower true devotion. The skies darkened. The air grew thick with an unnatural stillness. The entire kingdom stood frozen, as if the very earth held its breath. In the grand palace, Hiranyakashipu stood at the peak of his fury. His eyes burned with rage, his voice thundered across the halls. "Enough of this nonsense. I have tried to crush his faith. I have burned him, drowned him, trampled him, and yet he still dares to defy me." His hands clenched into fists. His voice dripped with mockery. "Where is your Vishnu now, Prahlad? If he is everywhere, then let him come. Let him stand before me and prove his power." A silence followed. For a moment, nothing happened. The world remained still. Then, a whisper of wind. A tremor beneath the throne. The great golden pillar beside the king began to crack. Thin lines of fire ran through its surface, light bursting from within. The court gasped. The very walls of the palace trembled. And then a roar, louder than thunder, fiercer than a storm, a sound that shook the heavens. The pillar shattered into 1,000 golden shards, and from within it emerged something beyond mortal comprehension. Half lion, half man, a being unlike any other. Narasimha. His eyes burned like molten gold. His mane blazed like a wildfire. His very presence sent shockwaves through the palace. The king staggered back, his mouth falling open. This was neither human nor beast, neither god nor mortal, but something in between, something unstoppable. Narasimha's voice rumbled like an earthquake. "Hiranyakashipu, your time has come." The air turned electric. The ground beneath them cracked. The prophecy that the king had mocked for years was now standing before him, towering over his throne. Panic flashed in the demon king's eyes, but arrogance is a blinding curse. With a defiant roar, he lunged forward. His weapons gleamed, his power surged. He swung his sword with all the might of 1,000 warriors. But Narasimha was faster, stronger, unstoppable. The battle shook the earth. Lightning flashed as they clashed. Pillars crumbled under the sheer force of their blows. The sky itself seemed to rip open as the fight between arrogance and justice raged on. And then, the moment came. It was twilight, neither day nor night. The king stood at the threshold, neither inside nor outside. And in Narasimha's grasp, he was held in the air, neither on the ground nor in the sky. The demon king struggled, roared, fought with all his might. But it was over. With claws sharper than any weapon, Narasimha tore through the tyrant's arrogance, ending his reign exactly as the prophecy foretold. The palace fell silent. The great demon king, Hiranyakashipu, who had declared himself a god, was no more. The people watched in stunned silence, their eyes filled with awe and reverence. Prahlad stepped forward, bowing before Narasimha, his voice unwavering. Truth can never be destroyed. A warm light filled the kingdom. The shadows lifted. Justice had prevailed. Narasimha, his mission complete, vanished into the heavens. The land was at peace once more. That night the people gathered. Bonfires blazed across the kingdom, burning away the remnants of fear, of darkness, of tyranny. And from that day onward, they celebrated Holika Dahan, a reminder that evil, no matter how powerful, can never defeat truth and justice. Moral of the story: evil may seem powerful, but justice is eternal. Arrogance blinds, but truth will always shine through. No force in the universe can escape destiny. Goodness will always prevail. The colors of love, Krishna's playful Holi. A tale of love, joy, and the colors that bind us. All spring had arrived. The air was alive with the scent of blooming flowers, and the gentle breeze carried laughter through the village of Vrindavan. But amidst the joy, in a quiet corner near the Yamuna river, a young boy sat, deep in thought. His blue skin shimmered under the sunlight as he gazed into the water, watching his reflection ripple in the pond. His name was Krishna. With a sigh, he turned to his mother, Yashoda. His voice, usually filled with mischief, now carried a question that troubled his young heart. "Mother, why is Radha so fair, while I am dark?" Yashoda smiled, brushing her fingers through his curls. Her eyes, full of wisdom, sparkled as she answered, "My dear child, why does it matter? The color of your skin does not define you. Love does." Krishna looked up, still unconvinced. She chuckled, tilting his chin playfully. "If you feel different, why not color Radha with your love?" A slow grin spread across Krishna's face. The sadness in his eyes vanished, replaced by mischief and excitement. And in that moment, a new tradition was born. Scene shifts to the bustling streets of Vrindavan, children running, drums beating, voices rising in laughter. Krishna, armed with vibrant powders of red, yellow, green, and pink, ran toward his friends. He found Radha standing with her friends, her laughter like a melody in the wind. Without a word, he grabbed a handful of bright-colored powder and smeared it across her cheeks. Gasps. Silence. And then, laughter. Radha, eyes wide in surprise, giggled. "You dare, Kanha," she said, her voice playful. She grabbed a handful of color and threw it back at him. In an instant, the streets exploded in color. Children ran in all directions, splashing colors on one another. Bright reds, joyful yellows, peaceful blues, and lucky greens filled the air. The skies seemed to dance, the earth rejoiced. The festival of Holi had begun. From that day on, the people of Vrindavan celebrated Krishna's playful act every year. They threw colors to erase the lines of differences. They danced together, forgetting worries. They sang songs of love and unity, embracing each other in joy. And thus, Holi became more than a festival. It became a celebration of togetherness. A festival where all are equal, no matter their color, caste, or background. A day when the only thing that mattered was love. As the scene fades, the vision of Vrindavan transforms into the present. Modern streets filled with people of all ages, running, laughing, smearing colors on one another, united as one. Holi is not just a festival. It is a feeling. A festival where all differences disappear, leaving behind only joy. A celebration of love, laughter, and the spirit of togetherness. And so, with each handful of color we throw, we remind ourselves happiness has no boundaries. As the colors swirl in the air, the message appears on the screen. Happy Holi, the festival of colors and victory. Moral of the story. Holi teaches us that love knows no boundaries. In colors, we are all equal, united in joy. Kindness, laughter, and celebration bring true happiness. Final takeaway. Holika Dahan reminds us that good always triumphs over evil. Holi reminds us to celebrate love, friendship, and togetherness. Faith, kindness, and courage bring light into our lives.